Hey, it's Caressa.
Hey, it's Maddie.
You're not watching the Disney Channel right now.
You're listening to
Dreadfully Twisted. Dreadfully Twisted's back again, gang. Dreadfully Twisted's back. Tell your friends, and family. Happy Easter, guys.
Happy Easter.
It's related, but happy
missed
Easter.
You.
And sorry for not recording for 2 weeks.
Yes.
I didn't realize that last week was Easter, and then I realized it, and I was like, oh crap, I need to see so many people, so then we didn't record.
Yeah.
So it's kind of my fault. Lifing.
Yes, it was.
As per usual.
Yes, as per usual. I can't remember what movie that was from, but yeah.
I was literally thinking that, like, right before you said that.
Really?
I was going to say as per usual, and I was going to say as per usual.
Okay, now I want to know what that was from, because I swear I know that was from a movie or something.
I feel like that's just, like, a saying people say, though.
Is it? I don't know.
She's looking it up. So, yeah, we're really sorry. I also just needed a little bit of a break. You can hate me if you want. Thank you.
No, nobody hates you.
It's just a crazy time right now. But I hope you all, if you celebrate Easter, happy Easter.
Yes.
And I hope you all, if you celebrate Easter, had a great Easter and was able to spend time with your family. And yeah. She's probably finding it, maybe.
I can't find anything for some reason, but I know I'm not going crazy, everybody. If you know
Well,
where
I'll
it
look it
is,
up.
please tell us.
I'll look it up real quick.
Okay.
What movie is as per usual? How do you spell it? Usual.
I don't know. That's my problem too. I put use, but it doesn't work.
Huge.
Wait.
That's not it at all. Huge. I don't know how to spell.
As per use.
Wait. What voice search has been turned off? Do you have that on? Do you have like Siri?
I think so. Let me see.
I turned it off.
As per use. As per huge? That is not even what I said. Oh, wait. I found it. U-S-H-E. Okay. U-S-H-E. Now I gotta find the movie.
I was gonna type that, but I was like, is that how you would write it though? I'm second guessing.
Okay, it's not gonna tell me what movie it is.
Of course it's not.
Of course it's not. But I know they said that in a movie one time.
What is he showing on Twitch? Sorry, I went into his Twitch chat.
That's a Jack Black thing to say. I wonder if it was like School of Rock or something.
Maybe.
It could have been.
Maybe. But speaking of Jack Black, this is just stupid. But because we've been playing Minecraft lately, Jeremy's been saying chicken jockey. And he's been saying the lava chicken. And I'm just like, oh my god, that's what came in my head. Because that's just what he's been saying a lot. And I'm like, I hate myself right now. I hate myself. We haven't even seen the movie, and he knows like every single line from it.
I know. That's so funny.
It's crazy.
I've been saying chicken jockey everywhere.
He's like, chicken jockey. Just like, oh my god. See, if his Twitch people actually listen to the podcast, they would be able to see like my stupid side sometimes.
Exactly.
Some of them followed, but I don't know if they actually listen.
Yeah.
There's one new follower. He started listening, and he listened to the first episode. He was like, geez, that podcast is dark. I'm like, I warned you.
Yeah.
I was like, I told you it's a true crime podcast, and it's pretty dark.
That's why it's called Dreadfully Twisted.
I was like, what were you expecting?
Twisted.
And he was like, I don't think I can listen to it. I'm like, I understand that. He's like, how do you even do it? I'm like, he's like, are you traumatized? I'm like, not really.
Sometimes.
I mean, it can be, but like...
Things just get engraved in my head sometimes. Like, sometimes, like, I'll just, like, go back and, like, think of, like, something, like, that we talked about forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, like, a true crime case. Like, even, like, ones that we haven't talked about. Like, it was just, like, pop back in my head sometimes. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Don't like that, but...
So that's why... Today, I don't know what you're going to be covering in the next episode, because we're recording 2 episodes today, but my episode is not true crime.
Uh-oh.
It is a spooky paranormal.
Uh-oh.
It's a haunting.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay,
So,
this is going to be a lot more light than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I just could not research something true crime right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ease back into it for me.
Yes.
With a paranormal episode.
Yes.
So, I don't know if you heard of this, but it's the Winchester Mystery House.
Ooh.
So we're just going to jump right in if you're ready.
Yes.
Okay. So, the Winchester Mystery House is a mansion in San Jose, California that was once the personal residence of Sarah Winchester. Obviously, I picked it because it said Winchester.
Winchester, I know, I thought that immediately. It's like, I wonder why you picked this one.
The widow, she was a widow of a firearms magnate, William Wirt Winchester. The house became a tourist attraction 9 months after Winchester's death in 1922. The Victorian and Gothic-style mansion is renowned for its size and its architectural curiosities and for the numerous myths and legends surrounding the structure and its former owner. So, I'm also going to show you pictures because this house is so pretty.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But, yeah, it's also an old case. So, we're going to jump right in first talking about Sarah herself.
We're going old because mine are old too. So
oh, yeah!
Old-timey
Old-timey! 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 Old-timey cases! Okay, I don't know what mood I'm in right now. I'm in some, like, funky mood, so, like, bear with me. That's gonna be our new theme song for old-timey cases.
Yes.
Old-timey, old-timey, old-timey cases. Sarah Winchester was born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. She was called Sally by people closest to her after her paternal grandmother. She married William Wirt Winchester in 1862. In 1866, Sarah Winchester gave birth to a girl named Annie Pardee Winchester, which is like such a cute name.
It is.
She was diagnosed with marasmus. She passed away 5.5 weeks after her birth from the disease. So that's very sad. Aww. In 1873, the Winchester rifle Model 73, known as, quote, the gun that won the West, end quote, is released. This plays a huge role in this case, and you'll see later on why. Mm-hmm. But so just keep that in your back of your mind.
Okay.
In 1880, William's father, oh my gosh, I was going to say Olivia, but it says Oliver. Jesus. Oliver Winchester dies, leaving the succession of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company to his only surviving son, who unfortunately is already seriously ill with tuberculosis. I spelled it right, but I could not say it. Then in 1881, only 3 months after his father's death, William Winchester, dies of tuberculosis at the age of 43. Sarah inherits his fortune, reportedly $20 million plus nearly 50% of the Winchester Repeating Arms stock. So back in 1836, $2 million, I cannot even imagine how much that would be today.
I know, seriously.
But back then, that was like unheard of.
Yeah.
So like, that just shows you how like wealthy they were from it. Which it also shows to today because Winchester is still a very popular gun brand. Yeah. So. Which also, fun fact, Supernatural, Sam and Dean Winchester were named after that gun brand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's how they have the last name Winchester, because it's a gun.
Yeah.
And then, like, the one person in Supernatural has named Samuel Colt. He's also named Samuel Colt because Colt is a gun. Yeah.
They're sneaky.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, like, little Easter eggs in Supernatural. So if you want to know those, let me know.
Yeah, seriously.
Back on to the actual case and off of my tangent. In 1884, her oldest sister, Mary Converse, died. Around this time, she began developing rheumatoid arthritis, and her doctor suggested that a warmer and drier climate might help improve her health. In 1885, at the age of 46, Sarah moved to California from New Haven, Connecticut, which is like from one side of the United States to the way to the other side of the United States, like literally. According to, this is also from a book here, but according to Mary Jo Ignatho in her book Captive by the Labyrinth, Sarah L. Winchester, heiress of the rifle fortune, her doctor's recommendation, her happy memories of traveling to San Francisco with her husband in the 1870s, and advertising about the weather and health benefits of California were possible factors in her decision to move. So obviously, like, we know that she moved because of her health, but like that little tidbit of like it also was a good memory with her and her husband, so that's also like very sweet. Sarah Winchester invited her 3 remaining sisters to follow her to California, which they did. In 1886, Edward Ned Rambo, a San Francisco agent for the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, took Sarah on a tour of the Santa Clara Valley to look for a home. He showed her a 45-acre ranch for sale that was located near San Jose. She purchased the property from John Ham, which included a 2-story, 8-room farmhouse. Since the property reminded her of Londa Alavisa from the Basque area, she named her new home Londa Villa, later known as Winchester Mystery House, and begins remodeling. This also is a very huge thing, because you'll just have to see. You'll have to see, because like, you know about H.H. Holmes, right? Mm-hmm. With like all like the like trapdoors and stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of weird things about this house. Yeah. In 1889, Sarah's niece, Marian Merriman, called Daisy, aged 21, came to live with her. Marian became her personal secretary, looking after business correspondence and banking. They attended charitable events together and were paying members of the Associated Charities and the Red Cross. In 1903, Sarah paid for Daisy's wedding to Frederick Marriott III. That same year, Sarah purchased several homes and properties in Atherton. One of the homes was offered to Daisy and her new husband to live in, which they accepted. She subsequently purchased a home for the couple closer to this train station for Frederick to travel to work from. In 1904, Sarah purchased a large property near the hamlet of Burlingame, north of Coyote Point, then bought a houseboat, or ark as they were called at the time, instead of building a house. Sarah unfortunately died on September 7th, 1922, at the age of 83. But let's get into the renovations of the house, because that's really where this paranormal, mysterious comes from. Mysterious part of it comes from. The San Jose house renovation, Sarah and her husband had developed an interest in architecture and interior design while building a home on Prospect Hill in New Haven. With plans to expand the farmhouse, she hired at least 2 architects but dismissed them, deciding to do the planning herself. She designed the rooms one by one, supervised the project, and sought advice from the carpenters she hired. She took inspiration for the house from the World's Fairs that were common then, which is also the same time as H.H. Holmes. Just pointing that out, because he had the World Fairs and he did the same thing, but like these are 2 completely separate, but like it's just ironic that that's so similar.
Yeah, it is.
While the home was similar in scope to other homes built then, it was unusual for a woman to look after such a project. And Colin Dickey states in his book Ghostland in American History and Haunted Places, she could be considered an architectural pioneer of her time. She was known to rebuild and abandon construction if the progress did not meet her expectations, which resulted in a maze-like design. In the San Jose News of 1897, it was reported that the 7-story tower was torn down and rebuilt 16 times.
Wow.
Yeah. As a result of her expansions, there were walled-off exterior windows and doors that were not removed as the house grew in size. Multiple levels, up to 5, were added to different parts of the home. Design was essentially Victorian with elements of Gothic and Romanesque features. The features of the house were many different features, but we're going to start off with some of the ballrooms. So there was carved wood on the ballroom walls and ceilings. Woods such as teak, maple, and mahogany were used to make an intricate pattern on the ballroom floor. A large brick fireplace was framed by 2 windows that included quotes from Shakespeare. The second floor had bedrooms that each had adjoining sitting rooms and sewing rooms, which is crazy. Like, you had a sewing room?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to sew. I want to learn, but I don't know how. The wall coverings had leather or metal appearance, known as lincrusta wall coverings. I probably said that wrong. The ceilings had molding, stencils, and faux finishes. There were chandeliers from Germany, art glass from Austria, furnishing from Asia, paintings from France, an annunciator, an early form of intercom, which was a common feature of large homes during this time period, was installed for calling servants. There existed an indoor garden with slanted floors that would carry excess water to trapdoors, which had pipes that would supply water to outdoor flowers. A generator was installed for the water pump and electricity. Because of Sarah's height of 4 feet 10 inches and health issues, a stairway was built that had 44 steps but rises only 10 feet. So all that is crazy so far for being 92 or something, or 62, or 1892, 1881, something like that.
You just know that's like rich house. Like,
yeah, I'm like, can I live there?
Yeah, seriously.
The windows are unusual since they are pastel colored, asymmetrical in their design, and have sharp bevels. The windows on the upper levels had spiderweb tracery, a popular design then. The windows to the right and left of the brick fireplace feature Shakespearean quotes from Richard II and Troilus and Cressida. It had been claimed by tour guides and articles over the years that the windows were made by Tiffany & Co., despite the fact that the company rarely used beveled glass. The style of window is also found at Craigadorach Castle in British Columbia, Canada, prompting the architectural historian Jim Wolfe to believe that the windows were made by the same company. Wolfe determined that the glass artist John Malin from Alexander Dunsmuir's company, the Pacific American Decorative Company, was the most likely artisan of the windows. This theory was confirmed with an envelope postmarked July 1894, which had the seal of the companies on it. This is also crazy. A scribbled note that appears to be in Sarah's hand was discovered in the wall of one of the dining rooms that were being restored. Many of the art glass windows that were purchased were never installed and have been housed in a storage room. So it's just crazy. Like, she had stuff, but she also didn't use it. Yeah. And there's a reason why, like, which we're going to get into in a little bit. That's, like, the part of, like, the paranormal stuff. But I just want to go over, like, the house just to show, like, a little bit of, like, how her psyche was at the time. Because that plays a big role. Sorry, I needed a drink of water. Sarah would take breaks from construction on a regular basis to rest, sometimes for months, since she did tire easily. It slowed construction considerably, and it counter to the claims made in the articles and by tour guides that she had house under construction around the clock for 38 years until her death in 1922. Her house was in construction for 38 years. How could you live like that?
Seriously, that's crazy.
Like,
I feel like that house has to be enormous, first of all.
And whenever it was at its largest, it had approximately 500 rooms.
Oh my god. Wow. As
claimed by Bruce Spoon, a student from San Jose State College who decided to write his master's thesis about Winchester in 1951, the reasons for building her large home were to keep workers employed and to express her artistic vision. He reached this conclusion after interviewing people who remembered her and after reviewing newspaper and magazine articles.
What if turning that into a hotel or something with all them rooms?
Yeah, right? So in 1906, there was an earthquake, which was the San Francisco earthquake of 1906. It hit the Londa Villa, and it was severely damaged. Though there were rumors that Sarah was trapped in the San Jose home, there was no evidence that she was actually there. She owned several homes in California, and after the earthquake, spent most of her time at her home in Atherton. The 7-story tower and most of the chimneys collapsed. One entire wing was destroyed along with the 3rd and 4th story additions. Winchester had rubble removed but had little more done to the property after the earthquake. It left doors that opened to nothing where balconies had once been, pipes that were protruding from that were once window boxes, and staircases that led to upper floors ending suddenly. After 1910, due to failing health, she did not work on the San Jose home except for odd maintenance jobs and adding an elevator in 1916. At this time, she dedicated her time to finances and building an investment portfolio. Mary Jo Ignafo claims that she was, quote, she was far more successful constructing an investment portfolio than a mansion, end quote. When Winchester died in 1922, the house had 160 rooms, 2,000 doors, 10,000 windows, 47 stairways, 47 fireplaces, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens.
Why do you need all of those, first of all? Second of all, that's insane. That's like a freaking
5 apartments.
5 apartment complexes in one.
Actually, more than that.
Yeah. That is crazy. That is crazy. How does one afford such things?
I don't know. I mean, she had $20 million back in the 1800s.
Oh, girl. Must be nice.
The house became a tourist attraction 9 months after her death in 1922. The house was in disrepair and considered to be of no monetary value. A group of investors purchased the property, subsequently leasing the house to John and Mame Brown, who turned it into an attraction. They later purchased the house in 1931. There were many rooms, additions, and deletions made to the home after her death. The first tour guide of the house was Mame Brown. Past neighbors, friends, and workers for Sarah Winchester were distressed when they read about superstitious claims being made about the house and Sarah Winchester, and were upset that the Browns were making money from falsehoods. They described Winchester as clear-headed and savvier with finances and business than most men. In 1924, Harry Houdini, who briefly visited the house and was reportedly impressed by its unusual layout and architectural novelties, but could not make a detailed investigation because of more pressing engagements. According to some accounts, Houdini suggested tour operators employ Winchester Mystery House as a promotional name for the property. So he kind of really named it. When Keith Kittle, a past Disneyland and Frontier Village employee, became the general manager in 1973, the house was in poor shape. He had the house renovated in the 1970s and 1980s and added a Winchester Rifle Museum. He sought historical landmark status and began advertising campaigns that included large billboards along the highways. The billboards featured a silhouette house with implications that Let me reread that. The billboards featured a silhouetted house with implications that a ghost encounter was possible. Attendance increased as he played off the history and superstition that was already circulating. Kittle was the general manager until 1996. As of September 2022,
2022, dang. That was a jump.
No, it's actually September 2022, but I said 2022 too. As of September 2022, the house is owned and operated by Winchester Mystery House, LLC, which is a private company that represents the descendants of the Browns. Captive of the Labyrinth author Mary Jo Ignafo wrote that the tour guides are required to follow script, emphasizing fabrications and inaccuracies. According to Ignafo, one guide lamented, quote, "I feel so torn because I have to tell people untruths. Every time I go through the house and have to talk about 13s and other kooky things, my heart breaks a little for Sarah. I have to bite my tongue every time I hear a guest say, 'What a nutcase,'" end quote. So most of this is just legend.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of makes sense though. So the legends and lore. Sarah Winchester's story had been embellished over the years by various rumors, hyperboles, and myths. And popular writers have oh my god. Let me try that again.
Talking is hard.
Okay. And myths. Popular writers have misrepresented or invented details about the house and its owner in order to enhance the legend. Let's go skip. Okay, here we go. Um, Beginning around 1895, Winchester started appearing in newspapers. The articles in these local papers were filled with speculation about her and the ongoing construction of her San Jose home. Her lack of interaction with neighbors and the known fact that her money came from firearms industry fed into the superstitious narrative from the very beginning. Despite the large and ornate homes being commonly built by the wealthy, the newspapers declared that the reason that the construction was ongoing was that Winchester feared she would have bad luck if the construction would stop.
Oh.
Which kind of makes sense, because why didn't she stop? This theory eventually grew into stories that she believed she would die if construction stopped.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Here's a little snippet from a newspaper. 10 years ago, the handsome residence was apparently ready for occupancy, but improvements and additions are constantly being made, and for a reason it is said that the owner of the house believes that it is entirely completed, she will die. The superstition has resulted in the construction of a maze of domes, turrets, cupolas, towers, covering territory enough for a castle. San Jose Daily News, March 29th, 1895. It's from an actual article.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. They're like, she thinks she's gonna die, so that's why she keeps working on her house. Like,
that's crazy.
What? In the Historic American Building Survey, when it added the Winchester home to the National Register of Historic Places in 1981, they incorrectly stated that the construction lasted 38 years and reiterated that Sarah Winchester believes she must continue building or she would die. They also incorrectly listed the purchase date as 1884 when county records state the purchase was not until 1886. There were some articles published against the superstitious slant, and one, an unidentified acquaintance, refuted these superstition allegations, stating that they were nonsense and that she was an unusually sensible woman. This is also from another newspaper article from 1897 from the San Jose Evening News, who was the person that was the friend of Sarah. They said, quote, if she wants to build a castle on her premises near Campbell, she should be permitted to do so without ascribing her motives to foolish superstitions. The people of wealth who settle in Santa Clara are to be ridiculed whence they spend their money on lavishly. We might as well put up the bars. After a while, the lady might not want to have a nail driven about the place for fear that someone would run off to a newspaper with a cock and bull story. While Sarah Winchester lived at the Atherton house, her relatives stayed at the San Jose home for almost a year in 1915 to attend the Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco, which ran for 9 months. No construction happened during this time. The staff closed up the house for a week to attend the fair. So that also doesn't show, like, if she really believed that she was going to die, like, she would have had that kept going through that whole week. The belief that Winchester built her house in its strange, maze-like manner to confuse and keep spirits from harming her, and that her sanity was questionable, started in the mid-1890s and has grown in scale since her death. The doors and windows that open to nothing, the unusual shallow stairs, the stairs that end in ceiling, and, oh gosh. There are stairs that end in a ceiling, interior barred windows and trapdoors in the floor area are used to confirm Winchester's spiritually and poor state of mind. According to paranormal investigators, Nickel and Ignaffo, these house oddities have simple explanations. The barred windows were previously exterior windows blocked off as the house grew. The doors and windows that opened to nothing resulted from the 1906 earthquake and the severe damage that happened to the house. The small steps were built because of Winchester's declining health. The trapdoors were constructed in a greenhouse room where excess water could run off and be piped into an outdoor garden. After the damage from the earthquake, Winchester did not rebuild the house. There was a bell tower there too that was used to call workmen and to serve as a fire alarm on the property. According to Joe Nickel, fanciful claims later arose that it was used to summon spirits.
Wow.
There's also these next two are kind of funny. Ghostly music. According to Joe Nickel, claims that locals residents heard ghostly music, quote unquote, coming from the house are explained by the fact that Winchester often played the pump organ in the grand ballroom when she was unable to sleep. So they're like, oh, there's a ghost there playing the organ. This next one, I love this. According to Joe Nickel, claims that Sarah Winchester held parties for the spirits in her home that featured lavish dishes served on gold plates kept in a safe and fanciful and unsubstantiated. Nickel wrote that after her death, when the safe was opened, no gold plates were found, only personal mementos and a lock of her baby's hair. So people thought that she was having like full-on feasts for ghosts.
Oh my god.
Which I mean would be kind of cool.
Ghost feast, yeah. Seriously.
Goes with the music.
Cool.
This is another, theory. At the turn of the 20th century, the most common belief that still persists today regarding Sarah Winchester's house's building was that she felt tremendous guilt resulting from all the deaths caused by Winchester rifles and from inheriting so much money from the arms company. Ignafo claims that it is unlikely that she had any guilt since in the 1800s, the Winchester Repeating Arms Company was seen as a success and the weapons were viewed as necessity for survival. Ignafo and paranormal investigator Joe Nickel report that as Winchester aged, particularly after 1900 as her health issues grew worse, which included arthritis, missing teeth, and neuritis, she became more private and reclusive. This reluctance to appear to the public or to socialize with peers gave her a mysterious reputation, feeding to the gossip in the community that local newspapers, which fueled the rumor that she was superstitious. Her companion of many years, Miss Henrietta Severs, states she had no superstitious beliefs. Sarah Winchester's relatives, employees, and gardeners never made claims that she was superstitious, guilt-ridden. I said that because I saw crazed. Guilt-ridden and crazy. All of her employees were named as beneficiaries in her will, which is also like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh my god.
This next part's kind of funny. Winchester twice declined to host a U.S. president. First, in 1901, President William McKinley visited and a committee to arrange accommodations was formed, but she did not extend an invitation. The president had his official coaches drove past the mansion without stopping. Second one was in 1903 when President Theodore Roosevelt visited the area, and the legend states that she would not open a locked gate to let the president in. It was not true, and the president had no interest in meeting her, as stopping at the home could have been used to promote rifle sales. He did not want to be seen endorsing any product. Despite there being plausible reasons for her not hosting the presidents, these instances furthered rumors that she was of sound mind and was not... I read that wrong. These instances furthered rumors that she was not of sound mind and was a cranky old woman, pretty much is what they're saying. Although the number 13 comes a lot in the lore of the house, because architectural features such as 13 bedrooms, 13 ballrooms, and 13 windows in certain rooms are due to Winchester's apparent fascination with the number 13. However, according to carpenter James Perkins, these items and the more irregular features which have made the house a world-famed oddity were built after her death. The first time that this apparent superstition appeared was in the article printed in 1929, which had been mentioned in most articles about Winchester and her house. Her staff, who spent every day with her, stated that she had no interest in seances, and there is no record of them ever being held in the house. However, a false urban legend has claiming she held nightly seances in the Blue Room or a closet by herself. So they're like, she has parties with ghosts, the ghosts play music, and now she has nightly seances every night.
Oh my god.
From midnight until 2 a.m, talking to ghosts about what construction should be accomplished the following day is what people say.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. In addition to the lack of records found about seances at the villa, the closet seances were unlikely given that there were usual social events and not done by individuals. And the records show that the Blue Room was in the gardener's bedroom. However, visitors and tour guides claim to have experienced cold spots, footsteps, cooking smells, odd sounds, whispering, doors and windows slamming, and feelings of being watched. Investigator Joe Nickel explains that this could be the result of confirmation bias and suggestibility due to publicity and rumors that the house is the most haunted house in the United States, or even the world, or that over 1,000 ghosts reside in the home. He reports one example where a shadowy figure thought to be a ghost turned out to be a staff member at the house. According to him, there were no evidence of the house being haunted, and that alleged whispering sounds can be imagined or due to wind. Additionally, it is common for large, rambling, and drafty old houses to have temperature variations in the house. Houses settling and exterior temperatures changes can explain odd noises. I just have a couple more things that I forgot to add in the very beginning. It was apparently like reported, but I don't know if this is true.
Yeah.
A psychic reportedly told Sarah that her family was being haunted by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles and that she needed to build a house to keep them occupied. But I think that could also just be like, you know, people saying that.
Yeah, like folklore kind of.
So from 1886 to 1922 construction, which seemingly never ceased, as original 8-room farmhouse grew into the world's most unusual and sprawling mansion. It featured at one point 24,000 square feet, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 160 rooms, 52 skylights, 47 stairways and footplaces, 17 chimneys, 13 bathrooms, 6 kitchens. And in 1923, it was at the price tag of $5 million, but today, guess how much that would be?
How much?
$71 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I'll show you pictures of the house, though.
Yeah.
So, this is a picture from, like, the old times.
Ooh, wow. That is huge.
Yeah. That's what it originally looked like.
Oh my god. Wow. Dang. Girl. Dang, girl. You really made that a whole, like, I don't even know what.
Winchester Mystery House.
The whole town of a house.
I kind of like want to go there one day, though.
I know. That would be so cool. You seem like a nice person, too. I feel like I wouldn't be scared.
I know. Like, I don't know why people were thinking, like, oh. But that's what it looks like today.
That is cool. Where is this again?
Oh, is that San Jose, California?
Oh, yeah, California. That's cool.
But it's like beautiful.
It is.
And like inside still shows like the old timey. Here's another one.
That's cool.
I'm pretty sure you could probably stay on, but like here is like an example of like those windy staircase. This is like the original attic.
This is the nicest attic I've ever seen.
Right. Oh, here's another overview.
Wow.
But yeah, like I couldn't really find like too much on this.
Yeah.
But I was just like, whenever I was like, oh, people thought that it was haunted.
That's cool though, yeah.
There's tours.
Is there?
Yeah. Like I'm just like I was also trying to find like stories.
Yeah.
Mystery house. Paranormal. What the heck? Paranormal activity.
I feel like that tour would be really cool.
Okay, here's a story from there that somebody visited. I was gonna read it. This was taken about 5 minutes after we toured the witch's cap. They said the witch's cap is better at contacting spirits because of the conical shape it traps them. After we went to the next room down the small hallway, I heard footsteps creaking behind the group. I was in the back of the room, so nobody in the tour was behind me. I looked to my right because I heard footsteps. Down the hall, I saw a woman in a black dress with long black hair walking down the hallway towards the witch's cap. The footsteps stopped as she passed the hallway, and I was frantically looking over to see if she'd passed by again. My tour guide noticed and asked me if I saw something. I immediately just asked if there was another tour behind us. She said she didn't know, but didn't think so. But not one other person walked by the hallway after her, and the woman in black didn't and was back down the hallway, which was the only way to get in and out of. This is a picture I took on the tour of the house, not edited, taken by the beginning of June. It's the tour that takes you through the attic and basement, not the proper house itself. I was taking random pictures to get them ghosts, not believing I'd capture anything. I'm just obnoxious. The ceilings were very low in the attic, and we had to wear white helmets. I'm in the yellow shirt and the helmet. Everyone was wearing a helmet. And there was only about 10 people on the tour, and they were all ahead of me in the next room. Look, I'm not a super big believer, and the way this glass window pane is distorting light has me shooketh. The Winchester house is 1,000% haunted.
Shooketh.
Here's a picture.
Please.
So there's one.
Is that all? I wonder if there's like different tours that you could do, like one that
Probably.
does the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's probably more expensive.
But I think it's probably just more of, like a labyrinth than really haunted. And it's probably just old, so people probably do just think it. But, like, it's also cool to think that it could be haunted. Or maybe it could have, residual hauntings from, like, when people were doing, like, the construction and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it could be that since it happened for so long. But yeah. That is... I probably went to... Oh my gosh, they have a flashlight tour.
Do they?
Around Halloween. It's cool. But yeah, so that is the Winchester Mystery House. A little bit of an overview of it. I didn't really dive too deep into it, but I mean, I just thought it was interesting and cool. And a good way to lightly start.
You're Charlie Brown meowing.
Yeah.
Featuring Charlie Brown, if you guys can hear that. He's meowing. He wanted to say hi.
He's like, hi guys, I missed you. So yeah, so if you would like to see pictures of the Winchester Mystery House, or if you have any stories that are about the Winchester Mystery House that you would like us to read on the podcast, please let us know. You can go to our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dreadfully Twisted Podcast. If you want to send us the stories that you may have about the Winchester Mystery House or any other haunted house or any paranormal stuff or any true crime stuff that may have happened to you or somebody you know, you can send those to our email address, Facebook discussion group, or you could also put it on our Reddit page, which our email address is dreadfullytwistedpodcast@gmail.com. Our Facebook discussion group is Dreadfully Twisted Podcast Discussion Group. And then Reddit is r/dreadfullytwistedpod. And then you can listen to anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcast, Podcast Index, YouTube, Listen Notes, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. So many options. You can listen anywhere, and they're all free. So yes, please follow, subscribe, comment on each episode, download them, do whatever you can do to help us here, and share with your family and friends. And if you do rate the podcast, please give us 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars.
Fun fact my mom just said. The Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland was inspired by the Winchester Mystery House. I don't know how that worked, but...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yes.
Cool, though.
Yeah.
Was that at, like, Disneyland or
Disneyland.
Disneyland in California?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
But
That's
yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Little
so...
fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
Yes.
So, yeah. We will see you guys next week.
We love you.
In the next episode, because we're recording that right now.
Yes.
But yeah, we love you guys. Bye. I gotta stop this. I didn't stop the recording. I'm trying to save it and I can't.